Hey guys, welcome to Journey of Crafting. Today it's not even today, I'm going to start a series. And I recently made an album right here. And all I'm going to do in this series is I'm going to show you how to create a mini album with a spine, a cover, and pages or signatures. And you can add different embellishments, add different depths to your album, but I'm going to show you how to do the basic construction of the album. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to decide what paper you're going to use. I am going to use this Femme Fatale from Recollections. As I was flipping through my paper, I saw this and I was just like, wait a minute, this would be absolutely perfect because I just recently got in some Happy Mail. We did a swap together and I recently got some like faux fur, and I think that that would be really fun to incorporate into this album. And this paper pad matches perfectly with the colors because there's the zebra print, there's pink zebra, there's fuzzy fur as well. There's bright pink and blue and purple, and there's all kinds of different colors, and all those colors are here as well. So the next thing that you're going to do is pick out your paper, and if you're going to mat them, which I strongly suggest you mat your decorative paper. Now, it's going to do a couple different things. The fact that you have a base and your decorative paper is the mat, I said that wrong a minute ago, but this is going to give your album more structure. It's going to give it more support. You can create pages with your decorative paper, but if you have thin decorative paper, your album is going to be very wobbly and flimsy. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to get a sticky note, a notebook, a sheet of paper, doesn't really matter, and a pencil. Now, the reason that I do this is so I can easily go back and say, okay, well, my base page needs to be cut at blah, blah, blah. My pockets for a base page need to be cut at blah, blah, blah. My flips for a base page need to be cut at blah, blah, blah. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put 1/2 inch score. Now what this means is anytime we score for a tab, it's going to be 1/2 inch. So let's pretend that we want we want to use pieces of paper cut out of here that are 3x5. If we cut a 3x5, it's not going to be able to be molded into something other than a flat sheet of paper. And if you do, it's going to be smaller than a 3x5. So you need to add 1/2 inch for every single tab you want to create. And we'll get into that more in later videos. Right now, I'm just going over the basics of what you need and how you start this whole process, because honestly, it is a process. It doesn't take me very long to do it from start to finish, but it's still a process. So we have the paper, we have our note-taking thing, whatever you decide that you want to do, and we have a pencil. Now, the next thing that you want to do is you want to pick out some papers that you want, while at the same time deciding how large you want this piece of paper to be. We're not going to decide how large we want our album. We're going to decide how large we want this single mat to be. So this is a 12x12. In order to optimize the usage out of this, you can go with 6x6 or smaller. If you go with 6x6, you will end up with 4 pieces out of this one sheet of paper. Now, we're going to go ahead and pick out some really cool paper. You want to decide, by looking through your paper, you want to decide what, how how many pages you have. So this one, I will keep referencing this one because it is built and it is on my desk. So this one has 3 total pages. Okay, now each page has different each page has different elements to the page. Like this one has a flap, this one has a belly band, but it's all still one single page. So we have 1 hinge, 2 hinge, 3 hinge, therefore 3 pages. Now, while you are picking out your paper and deciding how large you want this, decide how many actual pieces or how many actual pages you want. If you don't have a lot of one collection, definitely grab your cover. Now I'm going to grab my cutter, and this is where you need to decide what size paper do you want. So this is going to have one single base underneath. These had 2 bases underneath. So when I used this will probably be the easiest way to show you using this mat that I can't pull out. So when I used the 6x6 paper here, I had a base underneath it, but when I created these pages right here, I created them with 2 bases. You have your main base and then your second base and then your decorative paper. So you need to decide if you want to do that or if you just want one single base. I'm actually kind of glad that I have that up because it's easy to reference, you know. So I think I'm going to do, I think I want to do a 4x6. Yeah, I want to do this a 4x6. So I'm going to cut the top off right here. And then if you have directional paper, figure out, you know, which way that you want this to go. I haven't decided if I want a vertical or a horizontal book yet. I think I'll decide that when I start cutting. This is not a directional paper, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and cut this right here. I'm going to set this aside for now. And I'm going to cut this down to 4 and 4, and this should be 4, and yes, okay, so we're going to keep doing that until we have all of our pages cut out. Okay, so I have got a ton of these little pages cut. Now, I did save all of these other pages. They are, after about 2 of them, I stopped cutting this off because I just cut from the other side. I did save all of these because you never know what you're going to need for your album. So they're just kind of in a pile right beside me right now. So I have all of these. Now, the next thing that I want to do is make sure that you write down your main page mat size. So however you want to write that. So I'm going to put main page mat 4 by 6. Okay. Now you need to decide if you're going to make it like this or like this. Are you going to make it a vertical or a horizontal? And honestly, no matter if you've cut papers, because I've got some of them that run vertical, and then I've also got some of them that run horizontal. You will still be able to use these pages even if you pick one version over the other. And I can show you guys how to use those pages later. So right now I'm just cutting, there it is. So this one is sitting like this. Actually, I think the other one's sitting like this too. So yeah, it is. So I think we're just gonna go with vertical, and yeah, we'll make it work like that. So I have all of my pages cut here, and I am going to put on here vertical. There's a specific name for these. It's called portrait and landscape. This is portrait and this is landscape. So we're gonna make it portrait style or vertical, or however it makes you feel good to remember that name. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is take a color that's not black, because my bases are black. Okay, so our base page needs to be, we're going to make it like this. So we're going to make a portrait style album. So let me move this all the way from it. So when we attach this to our spine, we're going to have a hinge here. Okay, let's see. Oh, I had to pick a really hard piece of paper. Okay, here's a Post-it note. That'll work. Okay, so when we have our hinge made, it will have a little pop-up like this all across, our little hinge. So when we put our page in, attach it to our hinge, we need this to be open here, okay? But in order to create a pocket on the other side, on this side right here, we need to basically make two base mats. We have one with flaps and one without flaps. Okay, so our base page without flaps will be 4 by 6 plus 1/4 of an inch. If you want your mats to be larger, make the addition larger. So when I put this at 1/4 of an inch bigger, our mats are going to be about that small. If you want to make 1/2 inch bigger, then our mats are going to be about that small. And so on and so forth. You can make these mats however big you want, but keep in mind your cover is going to be at least 1/4 of an inch bigger than the largest piece of paper in your album. So we're going to go up 1/4 of an inch for the 4 by 6. So our base page without flaps will be 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. Now we want to add flaps for the other base page. This will all make sense in a minute, but make sure that you write everything down. So with flaps. Now our base page is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. Now we want to make sure that we put flaps on this side and this side. So we need to add an entire inch to our 6 1/4. Why? We have a 1/2 inch here and we have a 1/2 inch here. If we only need one flap for whatever reason, then you add 1/2 inch to your measurements. If you need for any reason a flap on this side, then again, whatever your measurement is here, you add 1/2 inch. So our base page with flaps will be 4 1/4 because we're not adding flaps to this side. We're adding them to the top and the bottom, so we need to add them to the height by 7 1/4. Okay. Now, let's figure out the easiest way to create this 7 1/4 by 4. I'm pretty sure. Wait, no, I could get 2 out of there. So the first thing that I want to do is cut my 7 1/4. So we're going to move these out of the way. So we need to measure our 7 1/4. Okay. Then we need to measure 4 1/4. Okay. And we are going to do that. This, however many times you do this, that's how many pages you're going to have. Okay. So I'm going to create 4 pages. So I'm going to do this one more time. Okay, so there is a couple things that need to happen with this. We're going to find my bone folder. We're going to score this long ways. Okay, your 4 1/4 is this way, and your 7 1/4 is this way. So we're going to score this at 1/2 inch. I score on this side because I have fat fingers and I can't really get in that direction. So I'm going to score at 6 3/4, flip it over and do the same thing. And I'm going to do that to all 4 pieces. Now what this is going to do is this is going to give us the starting point for our pages to our album. Okay, so we're going to set this aside for I'm going to beat up my table first, just 1 second. And we're going to set this aside for just 1 second. Now, I'm going to come back out here, grab my black cardstock. Now, I'm going to cut the base page without the flaps. So this is going to be 6 1/4 by 4 1/4. All right, so now we have our 4 base mats with no flaps. Now, this will be a little bit difficult to show you because it is black on black. But the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to take all 4 of our pieces here and we're going to put score tape on all of them. And just one side, you don't need to put it on both. So now what we're going to do is we're going to push down our tape, also known as burnishing, and we're going to do that to all 4 pieces. Now we have all of our little things here, and I have my scissors. There they are. They were underneath my cardstock. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut our corners off, and the only thing that I'm going to do with this is there's a score mark right here that we just made. I'm just going to cut into the very side of the score mark, way down here. And I'm going to do that with all 4 sides, all 4 corners rather. setting that aside, don't need that. Now we have our 4 pieces here, and we have our 4 pieces here. Okay, this is only the very beginning base page of our album. We will be constructing more portions into this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fold everything backwards. So our flap is inside to the page here, and our tape is on the outside of the flap, like that. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and finish this little assembly line that I've created here. So now all of your initial pages are taped. So now what we're going to do, this part is going to be very tricky to show you on camera because, like I said, it's black on black. It's tough to see, you know, black on black or any color on itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this down, make sure it's nice and firm. And we're going to take the backing off. And what we're going to do is we're going to line this sheet of paper up with this one as close to the edge as possible. And we want to line this up both on the side and the bottom here. Okay, so now, I did not line that up well. So now I'm going to take the backing off of this side. Oh wait, take the backing off of this side. Every time I like peeled it, I was peeling up underneath the flap and it wasn't working out very well. So now you can just close it, just like that. Okay. Now you can trim the edges here, which is exactly what I'm going to do. And just be much more careful with the next one that I create. And make sure that it is lined up a lot better. So I have like a little sliver and set that aside, moving on to the next one. Okay, so I have got all of these completely put together, and this is what they look like when they're put together. It's a little pocket thing. So whenever you make your spine piece, I made like a little spine piece, and there it is. When you make your little spine piece, you're going to have this, and this will slide right on top of your spine. So this is what your spine is going to look. Oh, it's good, it's sticky. All right, so this is what your spine is going to look like. Okay, and this will slide right on top, and you're gonna have 4 of these. Now what you do to each other page is completely up to you, but I will go over the next step in the next few videos. So that is how you start creating an album. Pick the size that you want based off of this first. I find it easiest to do it based off of the paper first, and then go into your bases and then your covers. So this, after this is matted, is what it's going to look like. Okay. So from start to finish, so far, this video is 30 minutes and 10 seconds long. I will have some editing out, but not a whole lot. And yeah, I think that's it for this particular video, and I look forward to continuing this process with you guys. The next step that we're going to do is we are going to create pockets and flaps for these pages. Okay, we're just going to create additions to each of these individual pages. Okay, so thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye guys.